Hello everyone, today I'll be reviewing Key Largo. So Key Largo came out in 1948 and was directed by John Huston. This film stars Humphrey Bogart as an army veteran called Frank McCloud, and he visits a hotel in Key Largo in Florida where the family of a friend of his who died in the war lives. So there he meets the widow of his friend, Nora Temple, who is played by Lauren Bacall, and her father, James Temple, played by Lionel Barrymore. While he's visiting, because it's the winter season, there's a storm that brews outside, which means it's very tricky and very heavy weather conditions, which means that Frank has to stay at the hotel until the storm subsides. There are also a few other residents who are at the hotel as well, and it turns out that one of the other people who is staying at the hotel is a gangster called Johnny Rocco, who is played by Edward G. Robinson. And while this storm is brewing outside, Johnny Rocco really takes control of the situation and almost puts himself in charge and says, listen here, I've got some people coming from Miami to take part in this deal with me, so I need everybody to keep stum and quiet while I carry out this deal. And he essentially sort of tells everybody else what to do, and he has some goons with him, he has some other men, and he also has his girlfriend, who is played by Claire Trevor. Within this situation, most of the film is set inside this hotel with these characters, with this dramatic tension, with these characters interacting with each other and trying to figure out the situation, and especially with Bogart's character Frank McCloud obviously being a war veteran or an army veteran, really almost wanting to be able to fight back against this gangster and prove himself to be a bit of a hero, but he struggles with that. He ends up not wanting to take part so much and being a bit more reserved, but he has to bring back the kind of heroism that he had during the war and the courage that he had during the war in this situation in the hotel with this gangster, Johnny Rocco, played by Edward G. Robinson. So this was the first time that I'd ever seen this film, and if I'm completely honest, I didn't really know what it was about at all going into it. I just knew that it had Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall on, like it does on the cover behind me. So and obviously Bogart and Bacall, they were in quite a few films together, and this was actually the fourth and final film that they were in together. Humphrey Bogart, I think, is one of the greatest actors of all time. He's always absolutely superb in every film he is in, and in this film his performance is a bit more reserved. It felt like he was holding back a bit, but I think it's to do with his character, because his character isn't quite as loud or as talkative as in his other films, although towards the end of the film he does really push forward in terms of his character, and he certainly gives an excellent performance in the film regardless. Lauren Bacall, obviously by this point she'd already been in a few films, so she was really hitting her stride in terms of her acting, and she delivers some great moments in this film which I thought were absolutely excellent. Although I have to say, with the whole Bogart and Bacall chemistry, normally with a film with Bogart and Bacall, there normally is a lot more of a romance angle, and there's normally quite a lot of chemistry between them, particularly with films like To Have and Have Not and The Big Sleep. In this film it did seem as like there wasn't quite as much chemistry between them, and there isn't really much of a romance angle in this film. There wasn't really a romance which developed between them, although the characters clearly like each other, they do talk to each other, and they clearly care about each other. It wasn't quite as strong as in the other films. But if I'm honest, I don't think that this film really needed that, because there was almost always so much going on in this film anyway. This film is a lot more of a thriller, I suppose, than a romance film, and I think it worked perfectly well. Lionel Barrymore is also excellent as James Temple, and I wasn't sure where I'd seen Lionel Barrymore before, but I remember that he was Mr. Potter in It's a Wonderful Life, and he was brilliant in that film. And in this film is fantastic as this old man who is really fed up with this gangster, and basically because Lionel Barrymore's character is in a wheelchair, really he can't do very much, but he wants to fight back against this Johnny Rocco guy and really sort of show him who's boss, but unfortunately he can't because he's in a wheelchair. I also have to talk about Claire Trevor, who plays Johnny Rocco's girlfriend. Now, she actually won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress in this film, and she gives a brilliant performance. She's an alcoholic in this film, so she has some quite strange and a bit, very memorable scenes. There's a scene when she wants an extra drink, but Johnny Rocco won't let her have an extra drink unless she sings a song. So she starts to sing a song and she can't finish off, but Johnny Rocco just isn't impressed with it at all. So he says, no, you can't have another drink. But then Humphrey Bogart's character comes in, Frank McCloud, and he has this excellent moment where he goes behind the bar and gets her a drink, which is very brave of him, particularly when Johnny Rocco just said that she wasn't allowed a drink. So that's an excellent moment, and it's a really pivotal moment for Bogart's character in the film as well, which shows his strength, which in an earlier moment he maybe didn't show so much. But in my opinion, the standout performance of this film is absolutely Edward G. Robinson as Johnny Rocco. It's really unusual because normally when Bogart is in a film, normally he steals a show, but I think really Edward G. Robinson, he just pushes it that much further in this film, and his character is absolutely the most memorable and definitely the most interesting in the film. I mean, Edward G. Robinson is absolutely fantastic as this gangster, Johnny Rocco. And in fact, Edward G. Robinson had previously played these type of gangster roles before, particularly in films like Little Caesar, and this was really his last film as this tough guy gangster. But he's absolutely superb. Although he's only short, he has this cigar, and when we're first introduced to him, it's really a funny scene and when he's in a bathtub and you can only see part of his face as he just sort of gets out of the bath and sort of like strides in and just makes himself known that he is this tough guy. And throughout this film you really get the sense that he is in control and he is taking charge of the situation, and it's just in his facial expressions and the way he speaks and everything, he has some terrific moments. I think he was an absolutely superb actor. So overall, this was a film that I really enjoyed. I really thought it was absolutely fantastic. I enjoyed it much more than I thought. This wasn't one of those films that you often see on those best of lists, so I wasn't expecting too much of it. But in terms of the tension, it was absolutely superb. It held my interest all the way through. I was always wanting to know where the story was going. I thought all the performances were great. I liked all the characters. I really liked the lighting. It really has a dark, claustrophobic feel to it, with being trapped inside this hotel with all the weather outside. And I really can't think of much bad to say about the film. So you know what, I'm going to give this film a rating of 10 out of 10, simply because I really enjoyed it. It really exceeded my expectations, and I just think if you like these sorts of films, if you like Humphrey Bogart, if you've seen him in any film before, then you will like this because he's absolutely superb. And Edward G. Robinson, he really does steal the show as well, like I've said. So I highly recommend Key Largo. So definitely check this one out if you haven't seen it. So there we go. So so that is it, guys. That's my review of Key Largo. So what do you guys think? Have you seen Key Largo? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Please let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments section below. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.